Hello and welcome again to the fourth episode of Recovery Recap. I'm here with my patient Lisa, and she's going to tell us about her journey through injuries and how she's overcome them and worked on some strategies to keep them away. So, why don't you tell us how you started coming to me?
Yeah, I kind of came to you in a feat of desperation. I was like, I need severe help. I have been a rock climber for, oh my God, like 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Did it competitively in college. Before that, I was a gymnast. And in 2017, I went on a trip climbing outside. I came back and I couldn't like lift my arm like above 90 degrees. And since then, I had like shoulder issues. I did some like random PT. And then I wound up tearing my labrum in July of 2021. And when I got the MRI, they were like, ooh, there's some like weirdness in here. Not only have you almost completely torn your labrum, but you also have a micro tear in your rotator cuff and a ton of scar tissue buildup. So we're going to give you surgery because you're an overhead athlete. And depending on how many, you know, laparoscopic?
Yeah, the incisions. Mm-hmm.
Laparoscopically, and depending on how many incisions you have, that'll indicate how severe it was. And they said we're hoping for 3, worst case is 6, and I woke up with 5 incisions.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to like go in there and like suck out all the scar tissue, repair my labrum, do all this stuff. I think I have like 4 anchors in my shoulder now, and I'd say like, and then I went to PT, got terrible PT.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and then I was back in New Jersey for a few months for work. And I was dealing with a lot of stress, and I hadn't had a day without shoulder pain in over a
Mm-hmm.
year. And it was really taxing my mental health, and PT wasn't working. The doctor said nothing was wrong with me, and I was just in chronic pain. Um, and so I found you just on the internet, and I was like, let me see what this guy can do. And if he can give me any semblance of hope, it'll be
Mm-hmm.
worth it. And sure enough, the first day I walked into your office and I was like, what is this guy about? What's going on? And then you taught me about connecting everything through my core and how to carry my body and how to properly move my body and how to pay attention to how my body is moving. And not just in the yoga wusa way, which is important too,
Mm-hmm.
but how everything is interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about muscle groups that I had never considered, teaching me how my shoulder moves in a way that PTs and doctors had never told me. And I was able to understand the micro movements in my shoulder better. And sure enough, within the 4 or 5 months that I was home, we made incredible improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally, like, I say it all the time, I've sent my cousin to you, I
Mm-hmm.
have sent my mother to you.
Yep.
You are not paying me to say this. Like, you saved not only my physical health, but also my mental health.
Yeah.
And because I thought I was never going to be able to climb again.
Yeah, I remember. I think this is how we got on the conversation of rock climbing in the first place. Is that I think you were talking about a Gaston, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that being your goal
Mm-hmm.
because that was the painful movement because
Yeah.
that's a really uncomfortable position for your shoulder to be in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very I wouldn't say strained, but likely to strain
Yeah.
position where your thumb is down, your fingers are out. And I remember going to which rock climbing gym do we go to? Gravity Vault in
Yep.
Chatham, right? And I remember when you got that and you were able to stick a Gaston and it was like it was difficult, but there was no pain.
Yeah. See, like I told you I was gonna get emotional. Like the fact that like climbing without pain was always my goal.
Yep.
Climbing saved my mental health. It saved my physical health. It was everything to me.
Mhm.
It still is, even though I don't climb as much as
Yeah.
I'm not competitive with it anymore. It's still a huge part of me.
Yeah.
And I don't know who had the idea, you or me, like, hey, let's do a session at the climbing gym.
Yeah.
And I remember you just completely re-taught me how to climb.
Mhm.
And we started on like a V0.
Yeah.
And you were like, just go and do it and
Mhm.
try it. And the way that you told me, taught me about my kinetic chain, I
Yes.
still think about that every single time I'm on the wall.
Mhm.
Okay, where am I stable? Where is my chain broken?
Yes.
How is this movement? Let's use this momentum, this like inertia, I guess, to get you up the wall and
Right.
not just rely on your skeleton or your muscle. Let's think about this practically. And I remember my first climb I came off the wall and I immediately started crying, and you were so patient with me. I've cried in like all of ours, not all of them, but like I'd say like 2 or 3. And like that just meant the world to me, because my recovery wasn't just about being a strong climber again and crushing climbs and whatever. It was also about like feeling comfortable on the wall and feeling comfortable in the gym and not feeling limited, like, oh, I can't do this because I had surgery 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
The mental health aspect of that is something that I think people take for granted when they are working out. And I see sometimes, I mean, this is why I can't go to gym sometimes, because I'll see somebody and you can see how passionate they are about the gym. And sometimes I've had some patients. I actually had one patient, and she was very passionate about the gym. And you can tell it was, and she even told me particularly that it was the thing that kept her mental health going, right? And that was what kept her in balance. And she was lifting far too heavy. She was straining every single time, and it was very difficult to because she eventually did get hurt from the weights she was lifting. And I think people take for granted that things are going well and they don't see what's on the line. That your mental health is on the line sometimes with working out, and your mental health, your brain's health in general. I mean, if you look at dementia, like any type of like aging type issue, regular exercise is by far across the board the best thing to stave those types of things off. And like it's a it really is a longevity game, right? Is that when you're young, it's very easy to stay in the game, but it's very easy to be plucked out. You know, you see a lot of high school athletes that their trainers are training them really, really hard, and I wonder how much they care about them.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if they're a number to them, because they go, I train everybody this hard, and 30% of my people end up injured and out, and fine, we weeded out the weak.
Yeah, I also think there's an aspect to it as well of, and I think I'm spoiled having gotten such great care from you and like learning so much and incorporating yoga, and especially things like yin yoga, which is just like paying attention to how your body feels.
Yeah.
A lot of these people who just train super hard, I can lift this heavy, I can run this far, whatever, they're not also paying attention to, hey, but how does your body feel?
Right.
Not just does it feel strong, am I getting that, rush of whatever after a workout that feels really good, but is your body moving the way that it's supposed to?
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about exercise that isn't just going out there and busting your ass. There's something to be said about exercise that is caring for your body.
Yes.
And paying attention to how it's moving. And there are some days, and now I'm bigger into like lifting weights. I do kind of like I don't do CrossFit, but it's almost like a modified lower impact
Like a HIIT
CrossFit.
type thing?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but like still lifting weights.
Okay, yeah.
So I used to go to this gym called Endure, and it's like there's hinge, push, pull movements, and then they do a conditioning, and then there's a pump day, and then on weekends it's like anything goes. And that gym was great because it was not competitive at all, and it was group class based. I met amazing people at that gym, and if I wanted to show up and I was like, hey, I'm gonna do stuff body weight today because that's how I'm feeling, versus, oh, I'm gonna bench 80 pounds today, watch me do it. You're still showing up. And I think there is something to be said about listening to your body and how it's moving and paying attention, because unfortunately, like what happened to your client, like if you are getting your worth out of, I can bench this much, I can deadlift this much, I can run this far, you don't think about the consequences that could have.
What's interesting about figuring out those, because I think injury for a lot of people feels mysterious, right? It goes like it came out of nowhere. I had no clue. I had no warning signs. And I think one of the problems is you don't know your capacity, right? I work with a guy down the street, Eric Moss, a lot. He's a fitness trainer on Main Street. And one of my favorite things that he does is that, and this isn't a perfect system. He uses a 1 rep max calculator. And a 1 rep max calculator is actually a really helpful tool. Have you ever used one? So a lot of people don't like, it seems like it's just a bunch of numbers but it doesn't mean anything, but there's a correlation to load and volume, right? And as the load goes up, the amount of volume you're going to be able to do is a lot lower, right? And if you want to be able to do more volume, the load's going to go down, right? So being that there is that type of relationship, you can see what would overload you by figuring it out on a lower load, right? So if you want to figure out what your 1 rep max is, you don't have to even test it, right? You don't have to go and put as many plates as you possibly can lift on a deadlift bar and try to pull it up. You can put 80 pounds on and see how many times you can do it while maintaining good form.
Yeah.
And that takes the mystery out. Like I hurt my back when I was pulling up the staples in these floors.
Yeah.
And I figured out how much force it took to pull out one staple. And then it multiplied how many staples I took out that day. I'm like, no wonder my back hurts the next day, because I actually figured out if you actually put that in a 1 rep max calculator, my 1 rep max to have done that many reps should have been 480 pounds for a deadlift.
That's
and
insane.
That is not where I'm at,
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
I think when you see your capacities, you stay within them.
Yeah.
And then you can adapt, but with normal ranges then.
Yeah. And there is like something to be said about still wanting to kind of, and I feel like fitness and like injury prevention and your mental health that's tied to that, so many people get wrapped up in the numbers. Like, oh, well, I want to be able to deadlift 490 pounds. And like, if I attach these numbers to it, like they're just chasing these numbers. And that's how you get carried away. I forgot what my point there was. But like, I feel like the numeric aspect of things can be really intimidating. And like, protecting yourself should always come first. And one thing that I've always asked, like in the gym, is would you rather me do, when I was a gymnast, when I was on the climbing team, would you rather me do 15 reps and have my form be atrocious, or would you rather have me do 7 reps and have me do it with correct form? And because I could do 15 with terrible form, but is it going to set me back more?
Right.
If I did it correctly.
But what's the ultimate goal?
Exactly.
And I think ultimate goals are really hard. I think you look at a 13-year-old kid who's an athlete, right? And let's say they want to go and play lacrosse in college, right? They're 13. They can't do anything right now to get into college.
No.
So what do? Because they can't aim at that goal directly. They put in a bunch of smaller goals,
Mm-hmm.
and then they fixate on those goals, and that helps them stay motivated because it's something they can do. They can like really train hard to make it onto the high school team, and then they can make sure that they score enough goals. But there's a really interesting Chinese proverb that says, "Don't confuse the moon for the finger pointing at it," and it means that don't confuse the means for the end, right? Don't confuse the proximal goals for the ultimate goal. And I think people see numbers at a gym, and they forgot why they went to the gym in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? And I think I really like working with elderly people because they're never going to the gym because they're trying to rack up numbers and
or look a certain
look a
way
certain
on
way.
Instagram.
They
or
want to
whatever.
function again.
Yeah.
And I do believe deep down most people have the desire to be functional,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that there's something to aesthetics, right? But I think aesthetics are the finger pointing at the moon because aesthetics are supposed to look good when they're functional.
Yeah.
And that's why I really love my corrective exercises.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my first interviewee on my podcast what their favorite thing I do in my practice.
Oh my gosh.
And I want to know what you think too.
Oh my
but
gosh.
she had said my movement correctives.
Yeah, your movement correctives. I still do crocodile breathing, and I always say it wrong.
Supine 90-90?
90-90 every time before I go to work out. If
Fantastic.
I have times in the morning, I still do those too. Every single morning. You taught me like a certain way to like check my shoulder movement. I still do that especially if I'm doing overhead at the gym that day. Any shoulder movements, those two are my favorite. I scream every time. I loved the electrostimulation, the electroneedling. Love that.
Yeah.
Even though I scream every single time because it's the weirdest feeling in the world.
Yes. You know what's funny about the motor point acupuncture? It's always the person that has like either never had acupuncture before or never had like motor point acupuncture that usually has to have a very like a muscle that they don't realize they have, right? Like the serratus anterior.
Yeah, that mine wasn't moving and you woke
right.
it up.
And I call it because I think people hear like oh like I think they call it like glute amnesia or something like that, and like your glute didn't forget how to fire, right? Your serratus didn't forget how to fire, right? It didn't trust, and this is a really interesting way to look at muscles, but like if my arm was out like this, my bicep is still firing even though it's relaxed. When I'm lifting my hand up, it's not firing stronger, which is weird, right? You'd think this is less, this is more. It's firing more frequently, right? So what happens is that the bicep is a very, very controlled muscle, right? So you control this frequency, you control this frequency, and this frequency, and this, and all the way up, right? What happens with a muscle that I call like stuck in like muscle purgatory, right? It's stuck in between, is that it only has one frequency it feels safe at, and that you need to make more and more different frequencies safe again.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what the motor point acupuncture does. I don't even think the research is up to date with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember the first time like you hooked me up to that. I was like I didn't know like it had been I mean, look, I had my surgery in October of 2021 and I started coming to you in 2022 like August maybe, September.
Yeah.
And like I hadn't felt it move like that in so long, and my pain was in my shoulder,
Yeah.
but my serratus is down here, and all the doctors that I went to were all paying attention to up here.
Yeah.
And they weren't looking at, as you described, like how my shoulder is involved with the rest of my body. And being a rock climber, being someone who does yoga, they're full body sports where you're using your whole body. It's not like I'm just mainly using my legs or mainly using my arms. So I knew something was up, and it was just crazy. And that kind of, what did you call it? Motor
point
acupuncture just like made me remember. And I remember your energy also when you're giving care is so important, because I remember right after I was like, oh my God, I need to move it right now because I'm going to forget. And you were like, no, it's okay. Like, we're going to move it. Like, don't worry. And I felt like a sense of urgency.
Yes.
But again, it's kind of like going to lift too heavy too quickly at the gym. It's like, no, your body's just learning this. You gotta.
Well, so I like to always give an analogy of, like, especially rock climbing. You're going to get this analogy really well with this. Like, imagine you had a 1,000-foot wall, and let's say it was like a 512A, right? And like, you had no equipment, right? You just had to get up it. You have to be able to climb that difficult and that high. And like, maybe if you're Alex Honnold, you'll go do it, right? But for the most of us, we'll see that wall as a bummer of a goal we could have had, but like, I don't know how to get it. But then what if you looked around the side and there was 1,000 steps up? You could do it that day, right? And that's where, like, progressively loading something really is what your body's looking for in the first place. As you progressively load it, what happens is that you never initiate a threat response. And this is where the psycho-emotional aspect of care comes in, is that your body doesn't care about your strange number goal with a deadlift, right? It cares about being intact for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The second you trigger a threat response, your body is going to retreat back. And you need to, there's a really interesting, it's a military tactic. It was a French military tactic, but it's been taken on by developmental psychology. It's called rapprochement. Have you heard of it? It's really interesting because there's the idea that there's a safe place, and then there is an unknown place, right? And that with a toddler, right? You bring a toddler to a place he's never been before, and you're with mom, right? And he's going to go out a little bit, but like look back to make sure that she's there, and they probably run back, right? And now all of a sudden there's a little bit more of a safe space around mom, right? And then goes out a little bit further, looks, she's still there, and now the space gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Is that eventually their ability to distance themselves from safety is greater and greater. But you take that child and you pick them up and take them 200 feet away from mom where he can't see mom, freaks out.
Yeah.
Right? That's the same thing that your muscles go through, right? Your muscles do not want you to take them away from their safe space too fast. They want a progression towards that.
Well, it's so funny you say that, because when I was a competitive climber in college, and like, I'm no like Brett Harrington, like I'm not Shauna Coxey, you know? I always wanted to be able to lead 12B. I could like just barely do like 12A. 12C would have been like a dream of mine.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking get to the top. I'm not saying like flash it or whatever. I'm just saying I want to be able to do it. Couldn't do it when I was on the climbing team. Just could not do it. And last year, I can't believe I didn't text you that I did this. Last year, I did it.
Really?
Yes, I flashed a 12C.
You flashed it.
Well, no, I didn't. No.
Oh,
I
you
did not.
completed it.
I
You completed
completed
it.
a 12C on lead. Last year, I completed a
Whew.
12C on lead.
Yeah.
And I was just beside myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's because a few factors. Number one, everything that you taught me and you reteaching me how to climb, that was monumental.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling comfortable on the wall. Taking out that competitive aspect, like I have a team watching me, I need to do really well.
Yeah.
I did it all for me.
Yeah.
I was out there and I was like, I'm going to do this 12C because I want to do it, not
Mhm.
because my team's expecting me to do it, not because I want to look a certain way, not because someone's filming me, not because whatever. And I knew, my body knew
Yeah.
it could do it. It could do these tricky Gastons. It could do
Mhm.
these like underclings, which you know were like my terror for
Yes.
so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like little crimp underclings. Like that was my nightmare for so long, but we trained that. And another thing was my climbing partner. He is like the best climbing partner I've ever had.
Yeah.
And he was so, if I showed up to the gym and it's one of those things again, where if he's like, you want to climb 5.9s all day, that's fine. But like, I'm also going to push you.
Yeah.
And I want you to climb well for you. And there's this weird thing, not to get into the climbing of it all, but in climbing, who you climb with and who's on the ground with your life in their hands
Oh, yes.
makes the biggest difference in your performance.
Absolutely.
And he just knew what I was capable of.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how to make me comfortable.
Yep.
And I trusted his belay 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you're going to do this 12C
Yeah.
today. And I was like, am I? And he was like, yeah, you are.
That's
And
amazing.
he just knew how to communicate with me too in those conversations on the ground, you know, because you can have a great belay, you can have like a good friendship, but the way that they hype you up or like try to get you to climb something or talk to you about your climbing can throw you off entirely.
Yeah.
And him and I just had this really great chemistry. And I think had it not been for my confidence in my body, which you helped me find, like if it were not for this movement care that you taught me and I continued on and still do however many years later, I would not have been able to do that. And I think part of it also, and I know this is a long tangent, is I no longer work at, I've stripped away the wanting to work out or be strong or climb a certain level for any reason other than to just do it and feel good.
Yep.
I'm no longer chasing grades on the wall. I'm no longer looking at Instagram fitness models and being like, oh, I wish my tummy looked like that. I wish my like glutes looked like that, whatever. And I'm no longer like, oh, if I don't like bench at my maximum today, like this is a failure of a day. I'm only doing it to make myself feel good and making sure that my body feels good.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing, you know, I work out in the field in television. Like I'm in the field, so there are times where I'm having to climb over things or go into like weird places. My agility levels for a 28-year-old, I didn't notice. They're so good. Not to brag.
Yeah, no.
But it's like my body awareness is crazy compared to people my age.
You want competency with that, you know? Like that's one of those things where I think climbing particularly is such a great sport, is because there is almost like a real life proof of I'm testing my body to see if it can do something that like is tangible, right? Like this is a wall and I have to see if I can, if my body's ready for it. You know, I almost think sometimes it's almost like I think sometimes this is kind of a weird way to look at things. Sometimes especially when you're on lead, it feels almost like you and the wall are playing a game of war, right? And the wall has a card and you have a card, and it's either going to go or it's not going to go, right? And you put them both down, and like sometimes it's a war, right? Sometimes it's a big struggle and it's close, right? And you do make it. And then sometimes like you just way overpower it, but sometimes the wall overpowers you.
Yeah.
And there's just a respect for reality about that,
Huge.
you know? And I think I respect climbers for that. I respect climbers for, well, let's put it this way. Climbers can't afford to waste their workout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've never thought about it that way.
They
but yeah.
can't afford to. You're not going to see a climber like try to get like really, really big biceps because they're not going to help them climb.
Mm-mm.
You know?
And that's like another thing is like when I'm in the gym, I haven't been climbing lately, not because like it's just I just moved and I don't have a climbing gym near me. I'm trying to figure that out. But my priority is making sure that I can always climb kind of in my workouts. And I know that me going to the gym and deadlifting 300 pounds is not going to help me in my climbing journey.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I know that my fitness goals is agility. I want to stay agile. I want to stay fit in a sense that like, you know, we were just talking about Spartan races. Like I want to be able to wake up and do those.
Yeah.
You know, and they're tough. It's a lot of endurance, but climbing is so interesting in that way. And talking about the mental aptitude that you have to have, it's also, I find it so interesting in climbing as well because so many people, they're like, oh, I can't go climbing because I'm so bad at it. And one thing that you have to keep in mind with climbers is they think that they are bad at it.
Yeah.
No matter how good you get at climbing, you will always be, I'm not a great climber.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the name of the game. And I feel like climbers, I mean, there are some that are definitely not very humble, but the vast majority of recreational climbers are very humble.
Yes.
And very level-headed. There is a huge community of asshole climbers out there. Yep. Don't get me wrong. But the everyday climber, it's an independent sport that you get to have a community with.
Yeah.
How I go about climbing, like we talked about this when we went climbing. How I go about climbing a V1 is going to be so different than how you go about doing it.
Oh, of course.
And my standard, and there could also be a 510 that I can do really quickly and you can't do it. But then there's going to be another 510 2 belay stations down that you can do that I can't do. You know, like it's just, or vice versa. So it's such, I feel like climbing is a great sport for people, especially for people who are hard on themselves, because it kind of teaches you, hey, tune into your body because it's just you and this wall.
Yeah.
It is just you guys.
Yep.
Just you and the wall. There's no one else. There's no real numbers attached to it because we all know the grading system's subjective anyway.
Yeah.
So I always encourage people to just try climbing.
Yes. It's funny. There's a few things. Oh my goodness. So many things popped in my mind as you said that. One of the things that I thought of when you said about, let's say it was a V1, right? And the way you'd go about a V1 and somebody else goes about a V1. It's so interesting because it's not so obvious. And I think people say like height or arm length, like ape index or something like that. But that's actually sometimes not true. Sometimes people that are the same height will do very different beta. And I read this book. It was a really crazy book. It was called An Ecological Approach to Visual Perception, right? Real big researchy book, right? But there was this principle that he was talking about called affordance, right? Which is kind of a weird word because you know what the word afford means, right? But affordance is like like this cup affords to have fluid filled into it. And this handle affords to have my fingers go through it, right? And I think climbers appreciate affordance so much because affordance has everything to do with how do you imagine you as a being in material physics interacts with your environment, right? And you don't realize that you do it every single day. You know, like when there's a, you know, like a garbage bag that falls in the middle of the road, like your brain barely even recognizes what it is, and you already stepped over it.
Mm-hmm.
You just think of how you interact with your environment, and you do it.
Exactly.
And then you're bringing that to its apex in climbing, where it's like no one notices the credit card crimps. You know, it was so funny. I was in California when I was living there, and I actually met one of like my like longtime climbing partners this way, which is the most organic way to meet a climbing partner. I was standing in line in a bathroom at a comedy club, and this is ridiculous. There was this really interesting like engravement pattern on the
Oh
wall.
my gosh.
And
We've all done it, and it's cringe every time.
I went over and I
Yep.
just put my
Of
fingers
course
on
you
it.
did. Of course you did.
And he goes, "Are you a rock climber?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How'd you know?" He goes, "You felt that crimp, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." You do that too? Like, I thought it was weird.
Every climber does it.
Right? And it's because you appreciate these. And I think it really makes you start appreciating little things.
Oh yeah.
Is that you appreciate that, like, wow, that's really interesting how I could hang off that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite climbing terms that I use in my everyday life is, "Oh, it'll go."
Yeah.
And I feel like that is just the climber way of being like, yes, you actually can grip this little thing. There
Yeah.
is the what is it?
Affordance
for you to grab this little itty bitty thing. And I
Yes.
say that all the time, like, "Oh, it'll go."
Mhm.
Like, just try it. Like,
Yeah.
it's there. It's there. So that's like my favorite climbing term, but that's so funny. I do that too.
Yeah.
I like people's mantles if they have like a stone mantle place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, because the thing is that one of the things they were talking about in that book is that you run through scenarios of you interacting with it, right? Which is crazy because, like, I just even did that right now because, like, I know exactly what you're thinking.
You just know. There's when I was in college, there were like a few of my guy friends wanted to go climbing, and they were like these big gym bros, like big, like they were the weightlifter types, you know? And they were like, "Oh, can you take us climbing?" So there's like 3 dudes and me and one of my girlfriends, and we went climbing, and they are like struggling. Like, I'm talking, they like, you know, when you take someone climbing and they burn out in the first 20 minutes because they're just climb, and you
sure
can't,
they don't got the
you don't
endurance.
Yeah, you don't have the, like, they get pumped out. So one of them was like really struggling up this V1, and for me, like, it was like a standard climb, and I looked, and he's like, "Oh, can you show me how to do it? Like, can I just like follow your movements?" Because sometimes, you know, if someone asks me, I used to coach kids occasionally, so I would sometimes do it in a way that wasn't necessarily my style of climbing to show
Short
them short beta or just like really exaggerate my movement to show them how they should be moving. And I looked at this climb, and I don't know what inspired me to be such an asshole, but I looked at it and I was like, okay. And I just grabbed the start hold, and you know what I did. I just dynoed to the finish.
Yeah.
Because that's also my style of climbing.
Yeah.
And that's what tore my labrum, was just being a dynamic climber.
And
I just dynoed to the top. And this guy just like looks at my best friend, and he's like, "Can you do it for me?"
Yeah.
In like a less bitchy way. And and my best friend and I, she's still my best friend. She's a climber, fantastic climber, like fabulous climber. And she dances on that wall. You watch her climb, you watch me climb. She is static, pure, isolated muscle movements.
Right,
and for me, and I've told you this, and you've seen me climb, I will just hurl myself. And that kind of comes from the gymnast in me, which is just throw yourself into it. But it's just interesting to see how people interact with different climbs as well, and different movement.
Yeah.
You know, and I also talk about, like, in the gym, at this gym in Durr that I used to go to, one of my friends used to train there with me, and she would always compare the two of us, and I'm like, there's no comparing, because you're better with leg days. You could lift 20 pounds more than me on leg days. but then upper body, I got you. But then
Mhm.
like I run and you bike, and it's like we
Right.
have different interests,
Mhm.
and it's important to train your weaknesses.
Yes.
That's so important. But you can't really compare two people with.
Well, that's kind of what good that you even brought that up right now, because that was the second point I was going to make about that last comment, was when you were saying about how a lot of people, when they go to the gym, they feel like they're bad at climbing. And I feel like we're just praising climbing here,
I
but
know. It's
one of the
nice.
reasons why climbing is also such a great sport is because they appreciate the idea of efficiency as a goal.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why those guys that were big muscle guys, they had to lug up all that weight with them, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not efficient. I mean, hypertrophy is a sign of inefficiency, right? That like if you're hypertrophying a muscle, like that is a sign that like you're putting on a load that, I mean, like wouldn't it be better if it was able to do that same load and not grow as much, right?
Yeah.
So I think that when you see people at the gym, I think one of the primary reasons for burnout mentally, right, of just like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore, is because your body's always going to get to a wall of like, just keep getting as intense as we possibly can make this workout. It's going to hit a wall, is that there is an infinite world of efficiency out there. You know, one of my patients was talking about their son and how I think I forget who his like idol was when he was growing up. I think Jet Li or something like that. And he was saying he wanted to look like him, but he was always such a big guy. And I told her, I'm just like, that's efficiency, you know, in the muscles, you know. And he wasn't like a overweight guy. He was like large, like muscles, right? And it's sad because I think a lot of guys in the gym are looking for aesthetics, which is not a bad thing.
A lot of girls too.
And a lot of girls too, right? And yeah, and they are trying to get, even girls are trying to get bigger today, is that there's almost a better, especially as role models, when adults are explaining things to like the upcoming teens that are starting to work out, is that there should be a desire for efficiency out there, because that's the right goal to have if you want longevity to your workout. And to kind of bring it back to the beginning, in order to allow your workout to provide balance for your mental health, is providing good goals as opposed to any old goal, because there are bad goals out there.
Yeah, there are definitely. And I think it's important to not only keep in mind, it's okay to have a goal and be like, I want to look a certain way. That's okay. But I think where people get frustrated is they're like, it's been 6 weeks. Why haven't I done this? Or why don't I look like this? It's important to make sure that in those goals, whatever it may be, chasing a number, chasing a look, chasing, you know, making a certain sports team, kind of bring it back to what you said about like training for college when you're in middle school. You have to have those benchmark goals, and you have to make sure that you don't want to be taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I'm not saying that people should get injured, and learn that you want to get ahead of it so that it doesn't get injured. And like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm grateful that I went through what I went through with my shoulder, because it taught me how to pay attention to my body and how to set these practical goals. I wish I didn't go through what I went through with my shoulder, because it was terrible. But like, I think there needs to be an emphasis, you're right, in efficiency, and also paying attention to truly how your body feels, and also how you're fueling it as well. You know, and diet is a whole nother thing that we've never really talked about, but it's, your body has so many layers to it, and it's hard. Like, I know that I will never look like, you know, Livy Dunn. Like, I'm not built like that. You know, I will never look like certain people, because I'm not built like that. My body. And so it's tough, especially for kids nowadays who are like, my goal is to look like this person. It's like, well, you don't have the same body.
Yeah, what will you sacrifice
Yeah.
to get there? Because the thing is that sometimes it's even possible to like, oh, I could do that, but you probably have to sacrifice a lot of function along the way
Hmm.
to get to that point. And I don't think people, I don't think especially kids, I see this a lot with my young athletes that I treat, is that their coaches and their trainers are not providing them with the proper realistic framework. And I really feel called to, like, I mean, sometimes I feel bad because the moms are always taking them out, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to like just keep spilling all of this information, and they always love to hear this because no one tells them this. I'm just like, this is how the inner workings of exercise works, and like, you don't have to be the give a man a fish like recipient, right? Like, you can teach them, and
Yeah.
they know, especially the young athletes, they know, and they want to know. They want to be able to put together their own workout plans.
Absolutely. And I always say, like, people, they're like, why do you work out so much? Like, why do you like prioritize it? And I'm like, because you can't start prioritizing it when it's too late to prioritize it. If you don't put in the framework when you're young,
Yep.
it doesn't become a habit, and you don't figure out what's actually going to work for you.
Yeah.
By the time your body's actually going through significant aging.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to my friend, and she's like, you should really figure out what works for you physically as a workout, as activity by the time you're 30.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't like putting hard deadlines on things, but you really should have that thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it every day, but what works for you activity wise? Because there's so, like, I just moved to a new city, and I was like, okay, Endur's not here. I don't really have a climbing gym nearby. What's going to work for me?
Right.
And I went to this like fitness studio, and it was very women centric. I thought I was going to love it. And it was all based on like, let's pump those booties up, girls.
Yeah.
Like flat tummies for summer.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be toned. And there were women there who loved it, and they were like, this is the thing for me. And it was a great workout, don't get me wrong, but I was like, this is not the kind of workout that I want. And learning what I've learned through you and through the people at Endur who have been monumental in my fitness and movement journey, I'm like, this is not, if we're going to take vanity into concern, the pump that I'm getting from this class and this gym is not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I think it's so amazing, and I'm so lucky to know, hey, these movements and this movement and this workout and this fitness regime is not it for me.
Yeah.
I know what makes me feel good. And it's okay that it's not that. And it's great that it works for other people. For
someone else, yeah.
You know? So I think I'm very lucky in that sense. And lucky in the sense that, like, if something doesn't feel right, if I feel a little tweak in especially my shoulders and my abs, I threw out my back deadlifting. I was like, I'm not deadlifting for 2 weeks. I'm resting. Yeah. And paying attention to your body. And
I love that you said 2 weeks, because I've talked about this almost on every single podcast so far, is that like people that hurt themselves deadlifting usually condemn deadlifting then.
No.
Right? And it's not the movement that I got.
You cannot condemn deadlifting.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't deadlifting what I was deadlifting. I mean, after 2 weeks, I was like, let me just do the trap bar.
Fantastic, yeah.
But you deadlift every day, and you taught me that. You deadlift every day of your life.
Oh, yeah, you're going to pick that bag up with the deadlift.
I'm going to deadlift that.
Yep.
So you can't condemn. I don't think you can really there are some movements where, and you taught me this too, when are you ever doing that in day-to-day life?
Oh my goodness. I love hearing back like the stuff that I say, that the patients say, because the thing is that I was thinking about this when you were talking about like just the fitness industry in general. The fitness industry is definitely confusing.
So I I don't know how people navigate
I have
it.
no clue. And you know what's great is that I think through your journey, and this is why I have no worries that you're going to find your fitness community wherever you can move
Mhm.
5 more times, you'll always find it.
Yeah.
Because your model is getting better and better and better at being able to identify good information, and the people that are really in the know in the industry is that there's so many people that are they're just, I don't know, either purposefully like trying to mislead people, or they
Gatekeep.
gatekeep, or they really just don't know, and they probably shouldn't be spreading what they know because it's not helping the industry. Is that like you have an obligation, if you're an influencer out there, that you should check your information. You should
Yes.
make sure you're always trying to update your model. And I think people like you that have good models
Mhm.
have an obligation to like keep spreading it all, keep spreading good information
Yeah.
out there.
I'm trying to get one of my girlfriends, she like wants to start her fitness journey and she's very intimidated because there is so much information
Mm-hmm.
and so much of it unfortunately is not great information or so surface level that it's like that's not enough and
Yeah.
people take it as Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm not a trainer,
Mm-hmm.
but she's like, I want to do your workouts because she's like,
Yeah.
you feel good, you look good, you're not trying to like bulk up, you're not trying to slim down, you're just doing it to feel good. Like I
Yep.
want to feel good when I'm 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I can do that, and I know enough. But I warned her. I said, I'm happy to go to the gym with you. I'm happy to give you my workouts. I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to work out with you and give you help. But I am not a professional.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that, and I will remind you that every single time that I am not a professional. And I think the fitness industry has gotten really saturated, especially online, with people who straight up are not professionals
Yeah.
or did the bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
and don't know
Yeah.
these things. I went to a gym and I thought I was going to love it. It was the first gym I tried out in my new city. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. It's all kettlebell.
Okay.
And I was like, this is going to be great. It's like kettlebell and then
It's a green
conditioning.
flag off the bat,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And my first class, I just didn't really vibe with the trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't really helping me with form or technique or anything. And it was a small class. There were 6 people,
Mm-hmm.
one trainer. And I was like, I've never done that movement. Can you show me? And he would show me, watch me do like 1 or 2 reps, and then that was it.
Yep.
And I felt really uncomfortable, uneasy, and I kept like asking him, and he would roll his eyes. And I'm like, I'm not being a nag.
No.
Because you're just
You deserve it,
standing
yeah.
there. I need help because I don't want to hurt myself. And then I went down and weighed. And he's like, well, why'd you go down and weigh? And I was like, well, if I'm worried I'm not doing it right.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, I don't like the way that this is going. So I went back to that gym, got a different trainer. And this essentially the same thing happened where they just did not help me figure it out.
Yeah.
And then eventually I did a class and she was shocked that I didn't even know what some of the movements were. And I was like, well, it's my second time at this gym. Like kettlebells were not, I know a lot of things. But, and then eventually, like later on in the class, turns out there was another trainer in the class and she was really helping me with form.
Yeah.
Like she was like, no, let's do it again. Like stop here, like watch me how I do this. And I was like, if you were teaching this class, I would be into it. But I can't only come to your class.
Right.
Because you only teach 2 days a week. And I can't remember, so it's stuff like that. This is such a tangent. I love Turkish get-ups. You turn me on to those.
Oh, I love that.
They are the best exercise
ever. They are.
I feel so strong doing them.
Yeah.
And it's such a great check on my body. Everything.
Oh my goodness.
That's my favorite.
It is. Oh, I cannot tell you how happy I am to hear you say that right now, because like I just love the Turkish get up,
So
right?
good.
But it really makes me just have so much trust that like wherever you go out there, you're gonna be totally fine, because your model of figuring out like like what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. I feel so good that you are so well rounded in knowing all of that, that like you're gonna have no problems.
That makes me so happy. I mean, truly, like, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on camera or because
Yeah.
like to blow smoke or anything. Like, seriously, the things that you taught me and the way that you taught me to listen to my body, to check in with my body, how to move my body, like,
Mhm.
truly, I mean, I sent my mom and my cousin to you. I was
Yeah.
like, you guys need to go to him.
Mhm.
And they still talk about you too. It's so important, and it works,
Yeah.
and it's correct, and it's tailored to me.
Mhm.
And I feel so much better in my fitness journey. Like I said, I could not climb a 12C on lead when I was on the climbing team.
Yeah.
And that was when I was at my fittest.
Right.
And I climbed a 12C last summer. And it just goes to show, like, it, practice and like actually paying attention, actually having like a baseline and a good teacher and learning about your body.
Mhm.
And I didn't even come to you like, I mean, I came to you a lot, but like learning that, I'm set up for life. Truly.
Good. That is my goal for all my patients,
Yeah.
to be set up for life.
Yeah. And I want like all of my friends and family to come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brad's doing great. He's in New Zealand.
Good. I was gonna say, how's his trip doing? Because he was doing a big old trip there, right?
I'm so mad at him. He's like my best friend. I'm like, you need to come back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a new boyfriend. You need to meet him and
Wow,
tell
yeah.
me he's a good guy.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, he's a great guy, but I'm like, I asked him, I was like, how's your back? How's your body? He's like, I feel great. And he's like, I'm still doing what Eric taught me.
Good.
And he's doing it in like Hanoi and like
Yeah.
Tokyo and Queensland and all these
Yeah.
places. And he's like, I feel good.
That's fantastic.
So,
Well, thank you so much for coming
of
on. This
course.
was awesome. That made my day, just even hearing all those things.
This is so fun.
Yeah.
I love talking about this stuff. It's fun to geek out.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.